And welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video. Going to do another Old Farts Watching Anime episode here. And this time we're going to be watching Space Pirate Captain Harlock. Now, this is from 1977, and when I was a kid, okay, I grew up in Canada, and in where I live there's largely English channels on TV, and there's a couple of French channels. Captain Harlock was only ever, when I was a kid, playing on the French channel. So it was spoken in Japanese, and it had French subtitles. And as a result, I had no idea what was going on in the show. And I always thought, what is this show? It's a space pirate, obviously, but it's very, very strange. So now we're going to actually just watch the very first episode of Space Pirate Captain Harlock. And let's see how it holds up and discuss at the end of the show. So it actually starts rather sad. I didn't realize this. It talks about the death of the Earth, and everybody takes to the sea in space in 2977. It's kind of got a sad beginning. And then we get this pirate singing song and stuff as the ships are introduced. So it's very piratey. I didn't realize that. Now that's one fabulous space pirate. So we learned a bit about how corrupt these generals are. And I've got some girl that Harlock needs. God, I love those transitions. What? Okay, we gotta talk about this. Okay, so that was Space Pirate Captain Harlock, the very first episode, which is called The Jolly Roger That Flutters Through Space. Now I see why I was so confused as a kid. I mean, even with English subtitles, that's an odd one. Okay, so to sum it all up, the Earth is dystopian future, everything's all used up, so people have moved into space, but then they jump back, and this is the very first episode. They jump back in time because they say in this period of history, there are still people living on the Earth, and all of their needs and all of their food is coming to them, and we have seen Captain Harlock attack a supply ship, and he definitively said, leave the jewels and the expensive wine, even shoot some wine bottles, take just the food. Meanwhile, the government is all panicking about the fact that this space pirate is stealing all the expensive stuff, including the food, but there's never any explanation as to, well, why is Captain Harlock actually leaving the expensive stuff? I guess he's a Robin Hood type guy. And yet the government is making it look like he's stealing everything. And then they just say, oh wait, the horse races are on, let's just cancel worrying about this. Okay, and then there's, there's some little 7-year-old girl in a prison that Captain Harlock has to go and meet. Out of no explanation. Again, this is the very first episode, no description of who this girl is. There's a couple of brief scenes at a grave. And then we wait. How about your 2 cents worth, Dee? Because I'm confused.
Well, yeah, I'm also rather confused. I didn't realize that they had jumped back in time, so I'm really confused. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, it did sort of kind of have a Big Brother element to it. George Orwell's 1984 with, sending signals, through television.
Yeah, that was actually, I picked up on that too. That was like a cool, early on in the show, they're all, making the populace be distracted from what are the real problems.
And then, of course, because people took to space, it was, there was an environmental message there as well. Yeah. So, but I'm really confused.
Very confused. It started off really quite good and has an interesting theme, and then suddenly Captain Harlock has to go and visit this 7-year-old girl for no reason at all.
Yeah, they're not saying whether or not she is his daughter, and then there was supposed to be an ambush, and you had figured that once he appeared that they would start firing the tanks, but no, I guess they didn't want to hurt the little girl, but they allowed them to go and visit a grave, and it was just weird.
Yeah, you're thinking, this has got to be a half an hour of walking up a hill, looking at a grave, having a long emotional conversation. I was like, well, if there are tanks in the trees, surely they would be firing by now, or there'd be some declaration of throw down your weapons, Captain Harlock, we've got you surrounded. Nothing like that. They just wait forever. And then he just surrenders, which is fine, and they throw the cuffs on him, and he's taken to some court trial thing where they've got like almost a firing squad or something that they're going to...
Yeah, it looked like a firing squad.
Yeah, like, this is your end, Captain Harlock. And then their guns are destroyed, and there's gunshots everywhere, and it's his giant spaceship from way over, like, just coming over the ridge of some buildings, so it's obviously far away. It's got the precision to knock their weapons out and not hurt anybody in that close, crowded situation. That's just crazy. And the funniest thing was then he just breaks off the handcuffs and he goes up in his ladder, and then that's it. It's the end of the episode. What the heck was going on?
He did it with a smile, though.
That's right, and a little glint in his eye, although that was earlier. Wow. Yeah, having English subtitles compared to the old French ones back when I was younger, that didn't really help. It was a very strange show. It's kind of funny. There's some interesting things that I noticed there with, like, especially in this modern era of where, like, you've got the One Direction kind of kids wandering around. All the characters in this have got that hairstyle, which is, it's kind of, that was always something that struck me when I was a kid. It was like, oh, they've got really crazy hairdos, all those guys. Now we've got them in real life. And also, a lot of Captain Harlock fashions together a thing called an ocarina, which I know from the Legend of Zelda, the Ocarina of Time. And here he is playing one. I guess that was a real thing in Japan. I'd have to look that up. I've actually seen, we're watching this through Crunchyroll, and I've seen a few other TV shows mentioning in their library mentioning an ocarina. So I guess that's a thing that Japan has. I'd have to Google that later.
Well, I'm also assuming that if we were to continue to watch the series, that we would find out who all the characters are. Like who is the female character with the purple hair and the glowing eyes and
no mouth, but she can drink.
Yeah, and obviously there was a doctor on board of Captain Harlock's ship, and the blonde-haired character obviously seemed quite jealous of the other female. So I'm assuming that if we were to continue watching it, we would get to know them all and how they came aboard Harlock's ship.
Oh, one final note about Harlock's ship. There were quite a few scenes there with it cruising through space, and that sound effect totally reminded me of watching it way back when. There are long sequences of just the ship flying or some missiles coming toward it. And I had forgotten that sound. It's got a very distinctive sound effect. And I was like, oh, I totally remember that sound. So that was quite heartwarming and a little trip down memory lane for me to hear that again. All right, well, there's episode 2 of Old Farts Watching Anime. This was an interesting one. Maybe we'll go with something a little more mainstream next time. But I was glad to get that one under the belt. All right, well, I guess we'll see you down the rabbit hole.
Bye, guys.